Welcome to Becky's Guide to Raising Chickens. Today, I'm going to talk about what's involved in raising backyard chickens for eggs. You'll learn how to choose and care for baby chickens, how to set up your coop, and what to feed them so you get lots of eggs. Everything you'll need to know to get started. Let's go! Welcome to Becky's Homestead. Have you ever had a real egg? They're so delicious and nutritious. A real egg has a yolk that's so orange it's almost glowing. Real eggs are the best for baking and cooking. You'll notice a big difference. If you want real eggs, you don't have to go to a fancy store and pay $6 a dozen. You can get them right in your backyard from your own pet chickens. Chickens make great pets because they're fun to watch with their little antics and their big personalities. They're so funny. It's amazing how quickly you get attached to them. They're also very kid-friendly. The kids will love to feed them, watch them, and collect their eggs. What are hens and roosters? A hen is a girl chicken. The hen is the one that lays the eggs. A rooster is a boy chicken. A hen doesn't need a rooster to lay eggs. She will lay eggs without a rooster. The difference a rooster makes is he can fertilize the eggs. If the hen sits on the fertile eggs, in 21 days they'll hatch into baby chicks. Whether you have a rooster or not, the eggs are edible either way. The rooster has no effect on whether you can eat the eggs or not. You don't need a rooster at all to get farm fresh eggs. You can just have hens in your hen house and enjoy the eggs. Plus, it will be quieter without a rooster. Roosters are very noisy. Some neighborhoods don't allow roosters at all, but they let you have hens. After all, it's called a hen house for a reason. In the store, they separate chicks into 3 groups: cockerels, pullets, and a straight run. Stay away from the cockerels. Those are the roosters. Price-wise, they're the cheapest. A straight run is a mixture of hens and roosters. But let me tell you, they're mostly roosters. You'll be lucky to get a couple of hens in there, and they're mid-price range. Last but not least, you'll see the pullets. Those are all hens and the most expensive. It's unlikely, but you could still get a rooster in there. If you walk into the store and say, "Give me 10 pullets," there might be 1 rooster in there by accident. So to sum it up, I'm recommending you just start out with pullets, which are the girls, the hens. Where do you buy chickens? There's 4 places you can buy chickens: a big superstore like Tractor Supply and Rural King, a smaller store which is a local feed store, and you can Google that to find one in your area. You're going to need a feed store anyway, so you can buy chicken feed and supplies. The third is the flea market. But if you're a beginner, I would stick with the superstore and the local feed store. Last but not least, you can buy online. They mail the baby chicks overnight when the babies are first hatched. They're very delicate, but they are able to get shipped. The nice part is there's more breeds to choose from when you order online. How do I take care of baby chickens? Shopping for baby chickens is so much fun. You can get carried away because they're just so adorable when you go in there and you see them all. You're just like, "Oh, I want some," and you just can't help yourself. But the truth is, it does take a little bit of skill to take good care of them so they don't die. They are very fragile when they're little. There are some tips and tricks that I've learned through the years that I want to share with you so you can have success. My method is so simple and inexpensive that practically any family can do this and then enjoy the healthy, fresh eggs from the backyard. Get all this set up before you go chicken shopping. The first thing you need to know is keeping the temperature for the baby chicks even. It's very, very important. The biggest mistake people make is cooking the babies or freezing them. The most important thing is getting a thermometer and a heat lamp. I like to use a temperature controller like this one. You set it and it's automatic. It takes out all the guesswork, and you can get one like this on Amazon. The babies need it to be 100 degrees for the first week. Drop it 5 degrees every week until it's about 75, 80 degrees or maybe room temperature. At that point, this heat lamp would probably only come on at night when the little chickens need it, but that's what makes this very convenient, is it's automatic. You don't have to worry about turning the light on or turning the light off. This heat lamp, as you can see in there, is not a light bulb, it's a heat bulb. So it won't turn a light on the little chickens, it'll just warm them up. That's really nice about this bulb, because that way they're not under the bright lights like, ooh, 24/7. They can actually get some good rest. You'll see the stores use the red heat lamp, which are really hot, and they're in a big warehouse, so at nighttime they might need that much heat, but it's very strong, and I personally never use those. I like to use these heat bulbs, and you can get this bulb on Amazon as well. The next thing you need is a big rubber container. You can use a tote, you can use even a cardboard box with high sides. Just make sure it has high sides, because within a week or so they can start to flutter and jump higher than you think, and you don't want them getting out. You can use a water trough, you can use a tote, or even a cardboard box. Just make sure it has high sides, because in about a week the babies start fluttering their little wings and they jump out of there surprisingly easy. The first thing I do is I put sand in the bottom, and then on top of that I'll put a little cedar wood chips. You can buy a bag of sand at any home improvement store, or since I live here in Florida, I just get the sand outside in the yard. What's really nice about the sand is when they're little teeny weeny little baby chicks, they can use the sand little particles for grit when they're tiny. We'll talk more about grit in a future episode. You have to make double, triple sure the heat lamp only heats half of the container, because that way if the little chickens are too hot, they will move to the side over here where there's no heat lamp. There has to be a hot side and a cold side in the little tub. So that's why you don't use a teeny weeny little box, because then the heat lamp just heats that up, and that's how you cook them. That's why this controller is very, very practical and very convenient, is it helps you in determining the proper temperature, setting the proper temperature for the baby chicks. This is the thermostat, the thermometer. So what you do is you put this under the heat lamp. The heat lamp plug is plugged into this device right here, and then this goes into the wall. Next, you'll need some kind of a little waterer. You don't want a deep waterer, because the little chickies will drown in it. These are very nice. You can buy them at a feed store. The little plastic bottom part was literally like $1.50, and then I just use my own mason jar as the glass part on top. Very inexpensive, and it works really well for the baby chicks. For the food, I like to use just the lid to a mason jar here. It just came from this jar. And as far as the food goes, the little chicks just pick and scratch, and they'll kind of make a mess out of the food. So don't be too picky about that. And you want to see them, you know, pick and scratch. That's good for them, and we want to encourage that. So the lid just keeps it very simple and easy. It's easy to clean and no problems. With the sand in the bottom of the tote, you don't have to worry about a little water or a little feed spilling in there, because it works perfect. So you can just use a lid from an old mayonnaise jar or just whatever you have around the house. It's very simple. You don't have to be too fancy. To feed the baby chickens, I use this. You can buy this commercial feed right here. I always buy non-medicated. That is what I look for when I'm looking for chick starter, non-medicated. There is no point in medicating the baby chicks if they're not sick and they don't need it. It's just ridiculous. You don't wake up in the morning and take medicine for no reason. So we're not going to do it to the animals either. You can buy this chicken food or make your own. I talk about making chicken food in a future episode. It's amazing how much those little chickies will pick and scratch. That's why I love this setup, because it's very simple and easy to keep clean. Once grown, the chicks will move outside to the coop, but how will you know when they're ready? Depending on where you live and what the climate is in your area, a good rule of thumb is to wait until they're fully feathered. They won't be a full-size chicken when they're fully feathered. They'll be about the size of a grapefruit, but they'll be fully feathered, no more chicky fuzz. Depending on where you live, you might still need the heat lamp at night, so you'll have to move that out into the coop. I want to make a good point here. You cannot take the babies that are the size of a grapefruit and just put them into a coop with already has hens and or maybe a rooster in there. The problem with that is the older hens will definitely pick on the little baby chicks. So when I say move them out into a coop, what I mean is just an empty coop when you're starting fresh with your first batch of chickens. A chicken coop has two parts. It has the enclosed, weatherproof hen house where they sleep and lay their eggs. The second part of the coop is the chicken run, where they get exercise, sunshine, and fresh air. This is a full-size coop, and this is quite a large hen house. I personally like a large hen house and coop because I keep a lot of chickens, and when I enter to gather the eggs, feed them, and clean up, I don't want to bump my head. So I love a big, large hen house. Plus, my hens have plenty of room to get in there in deep, dark shade for the hot summers so they don't overheat. This is the run I have coming off my big hen house. This is quite a big run as well. I like to give the chickens plenty of room so they can run back and forth and get exercise. You can see I put the water tub over here at the end, and little Pepper is sitting on the water tub. That works well for me because I can empty it and refill it with water. You want to make sure they have plenty of room to run back and forth and get exercise, fresh air, and sunshine. They do need deep, dark shade in the hen house, but they need sunshine in the chicken run. That's very important to remember. They need both. This is our flip coop. This size coop holds 2 hens and 1 nest box. And this is for somebody that has a smaller backyard but still wants to enjoy the farm fresh eggs. This works absolutely perfect for us. This is very easy to build yourself with the blueprints. There's many different kinds of coops and hen houses of a variety of sizes, and you have to find one that fits good in your backyard. The most important thing is making sure your coop is big enough so they can get away from each other. The #1 mistake people make is overcrowding, having too many chickens in a small coop. They will start picking on each other and then they become stressed out. In the hen house, you put the roost where they sleep, the nest boxes, and a hanging feeder. The roost is a wooden stick attached to both sides of the hen house. It's basically a big perch like in a bird cage. The chickens sleep up there. The roost has to be long enough so they can all fit up there with plenty of space between them, so they don't start pecking each other and knocking each other off. It also has to be wide enough or fat enough so that they're not teetering on a tightrope while they're trying to sleep. Now you're all set up and everything's perfect. The chickens are growing. So when are the delicious eggs coming? I tell this to everybody. Be patient. Give your young hens a chance. It could take up to 10 months for them to lay their first egg. Some will start laying as early as 4 months. Some will lay their first egg at 10 to 12 months. If your hens take 10 to 12 months to lay their first egg, it doesn't mean that there's a problem. It could just be late maturing hens. They're all different, just like people. What they need to lay eggs is a balanced diet with enough calories, plus peace and quiet. Let's talk about that now. I feed mine a combination of crimped oats, whole corn, alfalfa pellets, or fresh alfalfa hay, plus a non-medicated commercial egg-laying pellet. For the commercial feed, I look at the ingredients on the bag and try to find one without soybean oil or soybean in it because I don't want to eat that in my eggs. I use a hanging feeder. This keeps the bugs out. It keeps them from crawling up and eating the food. It hangs about 4 inches off the floor. They need access to commercial feed 24/7. Then I throw them oats, whole corn, and alfalfa hay by hand every day. Also, make sure they have plenty of clean water at all times. Grit is very important because the chickens need it to digest their food. Chickens have to have grit at all times. It comes in a bag and you can just dump some on the ground, or you can use some sort of a little grit pan. You want to make sure your nest boxes are nice and cozy for the hens. I use these totes with a hole cut in it for the door, then screw it to a board. The chickens just love them. Make sure your boxes aren't too big, or 2 chickens sometimes will get in there at the same time and then they kind of break each other's eggs. That does happen. Make sure your chickens have peace and quiet. They need this to lay their eggs. For example, you can't have the dog running up and down the coop barking at the chickens. You can't have the kids chasing them around the yard trying to catch them. And you can't put anything shiny or reflective like the car near the coop. All these things stress them out. So think about this when you're deciding where to put your coop in the yard. You're going to love your backyard chickens. They're so much fun and the healthy eggs are delicious. This is just the quick startup guide. Next, I get into more detail about each topic in the following episodes. Thanks to all my Patreon supporters. I couldn't do these videos without you. If you'd like to become a Patreon supporter and get special perks and rewards, the link is in the description below. If you enjoyed this video, here's a playlist with some more homestead videos you might enjoy. Thanks for watching. Happy homesteading. Bye-bye.